Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining this podcast. My name is Arqam Cheema, your very own sales guy and the co-founder of Captains, which is an Amazon services-based agency. And today we have Adam Mellot with us, who is the account manager at Better AMS. Thank you so much for joining us, Adam.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Arkham. I'm very excited to be here.
So let's just start with the no time wasting, and let's just start with the topic. So today's topic is all about how you can make your Amazon advertising in 2023, how to make it profitable, how to make increase your revenue, and how to do everything. Let's just start with it, Adam.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think in 2023, we're going to head into the year with some unprecedented challenges, predominantly
Mm-hmm.
a lot of economic uncertainty. So it seems to me that a lot of brands are heading into the new year very margin focused, very tacos focused at the product level. So
Exactly.
generally, that's what I'm seeing out of the gate here in the new year.
Mm-hmm. So the thing I am seeing so far is, how do you think is the recession and everything, that everything going expensive? There are like lays off, and how do you think it's gonna affect the overall Amazon market?
Yeah, good question. I think that with all this economic uncertainty, it's brought a lot of price consciousness to Amazon, right?
Mm-hmm.
It seems like this year, if you weren't running deals and discounts in Q4, it was a deal breaker for a lot of brands. Whereas if you did run
Yeah.
hefty deals and discounts, it seemed like conversion was obviously a lot better. Those brands did a lot
Mm-hmm.
better. So I think just heading into the new year, evaluating your competitors, seeing what their price point is, really trying to
Mm-hmm.
gain an upper advantage for against your direct competitors is going to be key heading into 2023.
So the main thing is like everything is, everybody wants like cheaper prices, but the problem is like the material cost is going still high. The manufacturing is going high. They're not going to reduce their prices. So how to evaluate or how to increase the pricing? How to increase our pricing? Because there would always be some that one person who is going to drop his prices, and he's not going to like continue with the what the overall food is doing. He's not going to do that. So how do they deal with that problem?
Yeah, so that's a really good question and a very deep question. I think that really focusing on your cost per click holistically
Mm-hmm.
on the product level and PPC is going to help your margins. Essentially, there was a time on Amazon where you could kind of target whatever keywords you wanted, regardless of search volume, and largely be
Mm-hmm.
profitable. But those days are long gone. So I think
Exactly.
really nailing down a full advertising strategy, right? I like to start a little bit slow.
Mm-hmm.
Start with longer tail keywords, more precise search terms, and then slowly work towards those, higher risk but higher search volume keywords. So just
Mm-hmm.
being a bit more conservative with your approach here this year.
Okay, so how are you going to like? I hope you have like tons of clients right now. How are you going to educate them? Like it's not going to be you are going to scale one high, and next month you will start seeing profits, start seeing like 100% growth. How are you going to like educate them, tell them it's going to take longer, more than long time, you have to spend more, the takeoffs won't go to 9 or less than 9% just by after a month? So how that education process would go?
Yeah, I think it's really important to be transparent, regardless of the situation, right? You need to be transparent with the brands that you
Okay.
manage, but
Mm-hmm.
predominantly in a bit tougher of times, communication is going to be really key. So what I like to do and what we like to do at Better AMS is get a bit more specific and evaluate performance at the product level, and then just use those metrics, really dive into the
Mm-hmm.
numbers as far as conversion rate at the keyword level, total A costs, et cetera, and really work to use those numbers to educate the customer on, or the brand owner on what's going on in the market, why we're seeing total A cost increase, where we can attribute that, and also how we can provide solution, whether it be optimization, whether it be listing changes, et cetera, et cetera. So education is certainly powerful in times that are a bit tougher here moving forward.
Yeah, exactly. So what do you think, what should be the, let's say if there's a seller or if there is an agency, what would be the do's and don't of advertisement in 2023?
You said do's and don'ts in 2023 of Amazon ads?
Like there's a little bit. Yeah. Can you hear me now? Is it perfect?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. So, what should be the do's and don'ts of advertising?
Yeah, so I think, remaining focused on the fundamentals is going to be important in 2023, right? We all know
Okay.
the basics of PPC. Don't mix match types,
Exactly.
don't mix branded, non-branded, don't max out budgets. I think
Mm-hmm.
diving in and getting a bit more specific with competitor research and really evaluating what your competitors are doing right or well,
Mm-hmm.
and using those
Mm-hmm.
opportunities as learning aspects, right? I think that's going to
Okay.
be important. But as far as strict do's and don'ts, I would recommend, starting slow this year. Being conservative with
Okay.
budgets, being conservative with bids if profitability is your focus, segmenting out profitability or segmenting out budgets via buckets,
Mm-hmm.
profitability, rank,
Mm-hmm.
just getting as specific as possible and reporting, various buckets in PPC is going to help this year as well.
Okay. So I have like a quick question here. I have you might be you have like many tons of brands. You know that like the first 70% revenue is easier to achieve. The hard
Mhm.
step is to achieve like that last 30%. So let's say if you have like a brand and you have onboarded it, now the brand owner wants to achieve that last 30%. What would be your plan of action towards it? What expectation would you give to the client? Because most probably when somebody is consistently getting like same revenue, same profits, they don't want to lose it. But to achieve that last 30%, you have to test new things. So how what's your plan of action towards it? Which things you prefer to test first so it won't pick out your client, like what's happening here? It might take all this off the roof. How does that go?
Yeah, so it's another good question. I think that focusing on a full funnel advertising strategy is going to be key here. There was a time on
Mm-hmm.
Amazon where you could toss 25 keywords into a campaign and that would drive the
Mm-hmm.
bulk of your revenue. Um,
Okay.
so, in 2023, I think working to increase average order value is going to be important. Um, you can attract that initial customer and drive that initial purchase through basic
Mm-hmm.
C. But what I think is underutilized are top of funnel awareness strategies and retention strategies, i.e., remarketing, cross promotion,
Mm-hmm.
etc. So,
Okay.
brands are going to be able to leverage the traffic that they've driven to their listing or to their products by remarketing, by cross promoting, complementary or similar products. Just working to
Mm-hmm.
showcase, not only what the products are, but what the brand is and what the brand is about. Really working
Okay.
the drop message, I think, is going to be ideal.
Perfect. So another question here. So let's say I'm already running a brand, and what should be the best step or best approach towards it? Should I launch another product, add
Mhm.
another product to my brand, or should I launch more SKUs? Either way, why and what should we do?
Yeah, as far as I'll speak on the ad side of product launches here, because
Mm-hmm.
it's seemingly increasingly ever challenging in this
Mm-hmm.
market. So I think again, this kind of goes back to implementing a full funnel strategy and also starting slow. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you need to be very review focused, very price focused or price point focused compared to your competitors when launching a new
Mm-hmm.
product. But also use the momentum that you've created and the success that you've created off of your top tier products and
Okay.
use those to remarket to those who are already in market or who are already aware of the brand, who are already brand loyal. And what you can do is
Okay.
slowly work up to top of funnel awareness strategies. But again, these times are different than even 2018. It's not as simple as creating a very basic, broad phrasing
Mm-hmm.
manual targeting strategy, tossing it into an account, and calling it good. It's can
Yeah.
definitely take a lot more evaluation and patience to launch new products in 2023.
Yeah, let's just wish it might happen again soon. So
Yeah.
we have like a quick question here by Zubair Ahmed. I think it's a really good question. Should we make off Amazon brand first to make new customers, then launch on Amazon, as Amazon is getting competitive day by day, it's hard to sustain there as a newbie?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think that any brand building you can do off of Amazon is ultimately going to help your success on Amazon. I don't think that you can rely just on Amazon to build a brand anymore. I think that there's a lot you're going to need to do as far as marketing off platform before you push to launch on Amazon, if that makes sense.
So in this case, like if we are doing like external traffic as well, so how should we segregate our budget? Like how much should we keep for the Amazon PPC and how much should we keep for other external markets like Google, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram?
I think it depends on the goal of the brand. That's a pretty heavy question. I think it's very brand specific. I'm seeing a lot of brands this year start to kind of move off of Amazon, start to divert traffic directly to their website, et cetera, because of price, right? Because fees are going up, because it's growing increasingly more difficult to remain profitable on Amazon. So there's going to be a lot of factors there that ultimately help you make that determination yourself as a brand owner. But I again would highly recommend ensuring that your brand story is covered, your brand is relatively established before moving to Amazon. And then once you're on Amazon, focusing on the little things, right? Focusing on proper listing optimization, strong imagery, strong title, strong bullet points, sound, structured PPC, track budgets, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, cool. So moving forward to another question, what should be our PPC strategy for our season product, as there are many keywords which are not viable to spend on off season?
Yeah, another good question there. It's going to be very product specific, but I would recommend segmenting out holiday or seasonal keywords, right? A lot of, let's use giftable products as an example in Q4. A lot of sales are driven by gift searches, awareness keywords in Q4 because customers a lot of times aren't necessarily sure what they're looking for, but they have a general range or a general scope of the product or brand that they want to purchase from. And once that time ends for those giftable keywords, you see conversion rate and ultimately sales drop off of a cliff, right? So just evaluate when your product is selling the best as far as seasonality is concerned, and ultimately dialing back on those less profitable keywords, less profitable strategies is going to be key.
So in such scenarios, do you optimize your listing in terms of copy, title, and images as well? Let's say if it's Christmas, if you are targeting like gifts for Christmas, do you add those keywords in your listing? Do you give the exact a similar vibe in terms of your images, EBC, or how does that work? Which strategy do you prefer?
Yeah, so at Better AMS, we predominantly specialize in ads, so we'll make recommendations on listing changes. But in general, I wouldn't recommend changing the listing for seasonality. I would recommend changing ad copy for seasonality. So utilizing sponsored brand, utilizing sponsored display, and then utilizing giftable keywords, again, as an example for Q4, right? You're able to amend that ad copy via sponsored brand. You're able to utilize custom imagery. So again, organized on the PPC side, evaluating when your product is selling the best or is at its peak time, and using the creative aspects that we have handy through Amazon to gain an upper advantage there.
Okay, so I have like a question here. Let's say not every product can work with TikTok ads. Not every product can work with Google ads. Let's say if I'm a mid-level seller, I want to test multiple external avenues while keeping my ad spend minimum. What do you think should be the top one or top two platforms I should go with first, and then scatter towards other platforms for my external traffic?
So, that's again going to be very brand specific. Right now, Walmart is certainly coming up in the world as far as retail.
Exactly.
So, if you can get into Walmart, that would be ideal. Amazon, of course, because it's ultimately the largest retail platform in the world. It's not going away. So, focusing on that. It's just going to depend on your focal point in the channel and what you choose to sell. I personally run ads on TikTok, at least for products, anything like that. So I can't speak there.
No problem.
But yeah, Google ads, always important to drive traffic to your brand store, or excuse me, to your website. And you're able to utilize that traffic that you push to your website directly through Amazon DSP. There are other ways to leverage that as well. So I think just getting a general understanding of what products or what platforms you want to advertise on and ultimately sell on is going to be key.
Okay, cool. So moving forward to another question, how you see, will AI tool replace jobs of Amazon PPC managers? Oh, how you see will AI tool replace jobs of PPC managers on Amazon? Would it happen? I'm not sure it would. What do you think?
I'm not sure if it would either, and I really like that question. I think AI is going to be more ingrained into advertising moving forward, but I don't think we can completely rely on any tools for the most effective management. There's always going to need to be hands in the account, eyes on the account, optimizing, accurately, right? And you can rely on software for profitability. You can rely on software to get your ACOS where it wants to be. But at the product level, it's going to be a lot more difficult with things like custom creatives, ad copy, direct recommendations. It's going to be a bit more difficult to rely directly on tech. But yes, I do think ultimately that AI is going to come into the picture sooner rather than later.
But it won't like completely take the jobs, but it would like reduce the number of hours you have to work for it. So it's better if you more on your skill set, so you're getting more paid for those specific less number of hours instead of working more. It's like if you utilize it correctly, it is like helpful for the sellers or service providers as well.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's going to be a really beneficial tool, but again, I don't think you can completely rely on any software for most of management. So I would agree there.
So there's another question here. What do you think Amazon PPC has future or not? It will become more difficult for small or newly brands to compete with PPC. They will go towards default or may survive.
Yeah, good question there as well. I think that as prices increase across the board, whether it be shipping, fees, CPC via PPC, it is going to become more difficult for small brands to compete on Amazon, and that's going to be the lay of the land for any sector at this point. So that's kind of where I would recommend really nailing down a strategy, really nailing down budgets, and getting super focused this year, whether it be on profitability, whether it be on your direct ad strategy, going to be really important.
Okay, so I have like a scenario-based question. Let's say you have $100,000 in your pocket, and you have two options. Either you can start a new brand from the scratch, or you can purchase an already running brand. What would be your option and why?
That's a very good question. It's going to depend on how established the brand is that you're looking to acquire. But ultimately, if a brand has already created brand presence, momentum, obviously it'll be easier to start there. It just depends on, there's going to be a lot, I think too many factors to determine which way is the best there. If you can find a niche product or, a spot in a particular category that's very unique and there's a lot of opportunity to leverage that, then, I would certainly recommend running with it. But again, cost-wise, it's increasingly hard this year. So,
okay. So how to control ACOS against high CPC, even if we get sale after 3 or 4 clicks, our ACOS is going very high. We all know the lowest price product ACOS is very hard to control. Can you share something about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So what it sounds like there is that your bids may be a bit too high.
Yeah, for low price products.
Okay, low price products. Good question. So for low price products, I think that this goes back to starting with long tail keywords because CPC is lower and then slowly working your way up. There's also things you can do as far as budget bucketing, where you can, let's say you're targeting the word mouse pad, which would ideally be on a low price product. What I like to do is I'll create 2 buckets for mouse pad. I'll do profitability bucket and I'll do rank bucket. And I'll use both of those budgets to ultimately control my total ACoS. And both of those campaigns or both of those buckets are going to be optimized for different things, right? Profitability is going to have lower bids, and our ultimate goal is going to be low ACoS, low tacos, high profit. Whereas our rank bucket would be ultimately conversion and impression share.
More aggressive. Yeah, cool. That's quite something. So I have a question related to DSP. Like I'm seeing like many brands are moving forward with DSP. What do you think when a brand should shift towards DSP, and why it's necessary to have DSP for your business?
Yeah, I think that DSP is worth testing for any brand personally. It's going to depend on the specific brand, the specific product that you're selling. In general, we see CPG products perform very well on DSP because of the remarketing capabilities. But their DSP is ultimately an animal. I mean, it's a massive opportunity for brands to really leverage the traffic that they've created through PPC, but also drive more awareness, work to retain customers that you've already attracted, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it's a very powerful tool.
I guess like DSP is also really essential for the subscribe and save products. Let's say there are like tools in the market that spend a lot of money on you, and when you subscribe to their tool, and if you try to end your subscription, they give you a lot of deals. You can get this, get 3 months off, and all that sort of stuff. Just because it's like it requires them a lot of money to acquire another client. So I guess in this case, if you have a product that has subscribe and save options, DSP is a really good deal for them. So what do you think? What should be the minimum capacity, minimum ad budget for a client to move forward with DSP?
Yeah, as far as a minimum budget, I would like to recommend a minimum budget of 10K to start DSP. And just like PPC, I like to start slow, right? We'll start at the bottom of the funnel, more retention-based strategies, remarketing to in-market customers, remarketing to those who've landed on your listing, remarketing to those who've purchased your product in the past, assuming it's a repeat purchase or CPG product, and then slowly moving up the funnel as far as competitor targeting, as far as awareness strategies, top of funnel strategies. So establishing that baseline ROAS and then slowly starting to trickle in additional strategies is huge there.
Perfect. So I guess these are all of my questions, Adam. If you have anything else to share with the community, please do share, and do not leave anything back.
Yeah, no, it was this was an awesome conversation. I think that there's a lot of value that we drove there collectively. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me directly on LinkedIn. It's Adam Mellot, or you can find us at BetterAMS.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for having me and yourself. And talk to you soon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.